So here we are on our little adventure. So where are we?
We're at Luton Parkway railway station.
Okay, that sounds good. Sounds interesting. Where are we going?
Going into St Albans.
Why are we doing that?
Because we fancied visiting St Albans, didn't we? There's lots of Roman bits and bobs and a cathedral and a good pub.
You said you were more interested in going to the pub, which is possibly one of the oldest pubs in England.
The Fighting Cocks.
Yeah, I think it's the old Fighting Cocks.
The old Fighting Cocks.
Also featured in Inspector Morse. Well, after several days of rain and it being quite cool at the beginning of June, it's a lovely day today and people are making the most of it and they're enjoying it out in the sun. It's a good pub there. What's that? The Boot. Is it the Boot? Yeah, it's the Boot.
So people are enjoying the food and beer.
Yeah, that's good. Anne was excited. She spotted the Ivy, St Albans. Not sure we can afford that today, can we?
No, I think it's going to have to be Wetherspoons.
Wetherspoons instead.
Wetherspoons.
Or the Fighting Cocks.
Yeah, Fighting Cocks for lunch and Wetherspoons for tea.
I'm finding it quite difficult to get a sense of direction here. I've only visited really once or twice in the dim and distant past, so I've not got any particular memory of the place, and I'm finding it quite disorienting. But it's quite good. It's quite exciting because it's a bit different. Well, there's a very attractive set of buildings here, and the lower Red Lion. So we've passed one or two places here. We've got formerly this is a bit of a downer, formerly the Black Lion Inn and then we've got formerly the Blue Anchor, and they were not able to do food at the lower Red Lion, so we keep marching on in search of sustenance. There's the Rose and Crown up ahead. No, we're not really alcoholics or big boozers or anything like that. We're just it's about 1:15, 1:20, so we're just hungry. We just want something to eat now. And anyway, we've had a decent walk. We've enjoyed that. There's a bit of water there. Now that.
I'm not sure it's open. The Waffle House, sorry.
That's the Waffle House, is it? Is it the Waffle House?
It's all locked up.
So that's the Waffle House, but they're locked and closed. And the Rose and Crown presents a sorry sight. It's all closed and boarded up. The fate of so many pubs at the moment. A combination of poor trade pre-COVID and then 2 years of intermittent shutdowns, and so many have had to close. This is Six Bells at St Michael's. This looks slightly more promising. We'll see in a minute. Oh, success food has arrived. You enjoying that?
It's very nice.
It looks good, doesn't it?
It
looks good.
Looks quite superb.
Yeah. At least we found somewhere we could get a meal, which is good. So we had a good lunch, didn't we? Enjoyed our lunch, and it was the Six Bells. It's actually very close to the Roman, the museum, the Verulamium Museum, and then the theatre, the Roman theatre here. So welcome to the Roman theatre of Verulamium. See there, we already have the sign arena and bar. I think they're getting ready for a further festival here where there will actually be drama performed. Obviously, whether they're rehearsing down there or getting themselves sorted out, I don't know. So we've got this strange juxtaposition of the Roman site with some people getting ready for a modern production. So that's really good. It's really good that over all these centuries, spectacles and drama are still being performed. So the Romans invaded southern Britain in AD 43 and subsequently created the third largest city in Roman Britain in the fields around here. They were careful not to offend the locals. And I know they cooperated with the local Celtic and ancient British tribes. And Boadicea, in her rebellion against the Romans, destroyed much of the first Roman town or city that was built here. And then Verulamium was rebuilt in AD 140. And in particular this temple and theatre were built. And I know that in Greek and Roman history, in the centuries before the Common Era, religious ceremony and dramatic ceremony were intertwined, really. They were part and parcel of the same events, the same experiences. So it's not surprising that here it's a theatre and temple combined. We're studying the modern map that we've got at St Albans and comparing it with the map in the guidebook, and it's taken a bit of time just to get our head round sort of the modern map and the original Roman plan. But I think Pamela's worked it out more successfully than I have. I've got my head around it now, I think, which is we're looking across at the theatre complex, which to my mind seems sort of cut off from the rest of St Albans, because we've had to cross a road, quite a busy road to get to it. But of course the road we cross is fairly modern. It might follow the line of an old Roman road, but actually this is actually pretty well the centre, almost the centre of Roman St Albans. And perhaps this afternoon or the latter part of the afternoon we'll walk through the big park, Verulamium Park, and where the lake is, which covers, in effect the park covers the rest of the Roman city. So the guidebook is telling us that the first theatre was built here in about 140 to 150 AD. Very familiar shape and style to a modern theatre, really. They're sort of horseshoe shaped with banking and seats being raked up to a higher level. And then there were later changes and developments running to 180, 170 AD. And a little bit after that. So the pillar marks where the stage was, or that's part of the remains of the stage setting. So this was all up and running to about 300 AD, so 1800 years ago, still quite a long time ago. And then of course after the Romans started to make their way out of out of England, the area obviously fell into slow and steady sort of decay and ruin, with the stones and the blocks and the building material being taken away for recycling, I suppose, for use elsewhere. But over many years, I suppose over 200 or 300 years, the site was used for entertainments, gladiatorial battles, pageants, as well as plays and comedies and a form of pantomime. So what have we got here?
We've got shops just off Watling Street.
Yeah.
There's a bronze worker's shop and a carpenter's shop. Other ones are made out of timber.
So the position of the timber shops, and so I think when you come and look around sites like this, and there's the wine shop at the end there, which is great. You find things like this, and you've got to use a lot of imagination. You can see the outlines, the remains of where these shops were. So we've moved away from the theatre and the temple towards this part of town, and this is where we're finding some of these commercial premises, and some of it's not been excavated. So there's a little bit more to see over here. I know a lot of the artifacts that have been found are in the museum. I don't think we're going to go to the museum today. I don't think we've got time. That'll be something, or we've not got time to do it justice. We'll save that for another time. But clearly there's the outline here of more buildings. Very difficult to see anything down there other than it being a big hole in the ground. But that was obviously something very, very important at the time.
There's some boards further back.
Yes, yeah. We'll look around these boards. So this is a 2nd century townhouse. So a very substantial building. It's a very big building. So as the theatre was connected with pagan rites, it may have fallen into decline when Christianity was adopted as the state religion of the Roman Empire. As early as AD 55, a range of wooden shops was built opening onto Watling Street. Each shop consisted of a front shop and a rear storage space or even sleeping quarters. So it's a bit like what you see in the Far East, isn't it? You go to Thailand and Cambodia and places, almost identical. People have the shop at the front and they sleep at the back. A covered walkway along the edge of the street provided shelter for customers and no doubt goods for sale. When the shops were excavated between 1957 and 1961, broken crucibles and waste metal showed that most of the shops had been occupied by blacksmiths and bronze workers. These shops were destroyed by Queen Boudicca in AD 60, or Boudica. The shops were rebuilt soon after AD 100, so they were all rebuilt. In about AD 170, a large townhouse was built behind the shops, part of which can be seen today. The rooms themselves have since been destroyed, but a hypercaust, consisting of channels lined with curved tiles, which brought hot air from a furnace outside the building and provided a system of underfloor heating. That's rather good. And there's there's a couple of images of artifacts that have been found, and then the some little, some pencil sketches of how the shop, the townhouse may have appeared. So very, very advanced, at least if you were well off. Circling the theatre. And certainly we're enjoying the warmth. It's a lovely, actually quite a hot day today. And have you got that imagination working, Pamela? Can you imagine this as a thriving Roman city full of people and selling their wares and trading and looking for entertainment? Can you imagine that?
I think I have difficulty with imagining that down there being a huge, great high wall.
Yes, which it would have been. We'd be walking around the perimeter now, wouldn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So So there's a little bit more detail about it here. We'll
Yeah.
pause and
That
have a look at
huge,
this.
great high wall.
Yes.
It looks like.
Yeah. So
But there'll be banked seating inside it, right up the wall, which is amazing.
yes. So where we're walking now is probably level, well, it may not even be level with it. It's still below the top of the outer wall.
Look,
Which-
some people sitting there.
Yeah, which held, the high seating.
You can just imagine a load of steps going up to where those, well, beyond where those pillars are. aren't
Yes,
they?
yes. So
Well,
where
those
there's
pillars.
one of the pillars remaining for where the stage was. So where the people are rehearsing now, the stage has been set up in the well, these days we call it the mosh pit, the standing area, the standing part of the auditorium, which I suppose at various times was also used for other forms of entertainment. So it's
Gladiatorial fights.
Yeah.
and things, yeah.
So it's described here as the orchestra,
Of course it is. Yeah.
reduced over time to allow for more seating. So again, over time, the building obviously changed. So again, we're sort of looking through into sort of like you go when you go to a football stadium today. You can see the high walls and the from outside the stadium. Then inside, you get these sort of internal areas, which in this case would have been full of, I suppose, preparation rooms, changing rooms, possibly even places where you could get things to eat and drink. Yeah, it's most impressive. So the area, now that we see all the seats have been, well, they've been turned over to protect them from the rain or let them dry out. But we can now see that it's the orchestra area, or this central area, is much bigger than it first appears, really.
Yeah.
And that's obviously the area where this modern festival is going to take place. Bullfights, sword fights and public executions. So it's not quite football in the 1970s, but not far off it. The pantomime was very popular too. But a day at the theatre would almost certainly have started with sacrifices to the gods in the nearby temple, and a priest would lead a procession to the theatre. We do not know for sure what performances were staged here, but they may have included plays by Latin and Greek authors. Almost certainly the case. They may not have been understood by the largely rural population, and it may well be that another popular Roman entertainment, the pantomimus, hence pantomime, was preferred. These were dumb shows with actors dancing and miming the action, accompanied by music and a chorus. And after the show, time to do some shopping. Now, we don't know, but we're not sure, but we think, we've made a guess, Pamela and I have made an intelligent guess that what they're rehearsing is the importance of being earnest. That's just by the references to they've been talking about cucumber sandwiches and Gwendolen and behaving in a sort of an Oscar Wilde sort of slightly exaggerated, slightly camp way, I suppose. It makes one think about Oscar Wilde, but it may not. It may not be. I don't think it's Shakespeare.
And I don't think it's Beckett.
It's not, and you don't think it's Waiting for Godot. Yeah. It's good fun. It's good fun though. Quite enjoyed this little motto on this memorial seat. He lives doubly, who also enjoys the past. So we've got a board here advertising what's coming up for the Roman Theatre Open Air Festival, and it's running from, well, it's underway now from the 24th of May through to the 21st of August 2022, and coming up 2nd to the 17th of July, they certainly are performing the importance of being earnest, so we may well have been right that that's what we recognised, or what we caught bits of. But it's quite a mixed programme, and some of it quite radical, and some of it very traditional. So a really good mixture of things. And I imagine, provided the weather's good, and you probably need that if you're sitting out in the audience, provided the weather's good, I imagine it's really good. So all credit to them for having a go at this. And if we live nearer, we'd be along to come and see some of these performances.